All right. So let's get started with what are we doing this year for the competition. So the theme this year, we're bringing back AI enhanced social engineering. This time the target is a community-based pharmacy. And we drew our inspiration from healthcare cyber attacks. The URL is at the bottom, so you can take a look. And you are going to have to pose once again as a social engineering penetration testing corporation. We don't always do this. We have different themes every year, but this time you are going to pose as pen testers for this fictitious community-based pharmacy. Okay, so everything that we do is simulated, and there are no real organizations or real people that we target. We want to, again, create that virtual sandbox for you so that you can try things out in a safe and ethical way. And this time, we are going to bring back the text-based AI, so you can use any tool of your choice with some disclaimers, but we'll get into that, right? To create your personas, to pre-text your Vish scripts. We're bringing in image AIs. We want to see you generate personas with faces, and we're going to, again, talk about that. The big new components here this year are synthetic vishing. And by that, I mean you are going to do an entire Vish call using synthetic audio. You are not going to use your own voice at all. Okay. You're also, this is the first time we're doing this, is we're going to get you all to do improv, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit as well. All right, so that's what's new this year. So we have the synthetic audio piece and the improv piece. Out of everything that we talked about today, we chose the topics based on what you're going to need, obviously. So you will need to demonstrate the use of psychological persuasion principles, pretext and personas, open source intelligence, vishing, and improv. If you notice, what we do not have this year is phishing. So we did not bring that in for this year. Okay, so that's something a little bit different. So obviously, psychological persuasion principles, you will be using these at any stage, all stages. We want to see, beautiful pretexts and personas. What are your background stories? What characters are you going to play? You will be doing OSINT as foundational, but also maybe later on to help you move further in your campaigns. And we'll talk more about the other two components. But all of these pieces do connect with each other. They do depend on each other. And again, that's everything that we've covered today. So hopefully that should give you enough grounding to move forward. Now, remember, you have these recordings for you. You have recordings from our previous competitions for you, but part of the beauty of this is we also want you to go out and do your homework, right? And figure out what's out there and learn from it. So that's one of the biggest hints. Competition structure, doesn't matter what track you are on. Day one, you will be doing an improv demo through Zoom. Okay. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. Day two will be the Vish. Day three morning will be client debriefs, and day three afternoon will be informal debriefs, right? So in the morning, you're presenting your findings to the clients. In the afternoon, you get to chat with us. We're all out of character. We're, in our usual, we're the competition organizers, you're the teams, and we get to have a quick chat. Please, 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 please note that all times are Eastern. I cannot tell you how many times teams miss their time because they think it's on a different time zone. Please make sure that you come to the time that you have been given. We have tried to accommodate everybody based on their time zones. Most of the event is asynchronous. Okay, so if you're on our FAQs, be sure to check out question numbers 15 and 17. Okay, but then we do, obviously, for like improv and Vish and the client debrief, you will be given a specific window. It might be 10 minutes, it might be 15. right? And again, remember that those windows are in Eastern, so please show up at that time. Otherwise, we cannot accommodate you because, as you just saw, we have a lot of teams and we have to get through, we have to grade. So if you miss your spot, that's it. You get a 0. All right, then we don't want that to happen. So just make sure you follow your instructions closely. Excuse me. So why are we doing an improv? Right? So yes, the client or target is a community-based pharmacy. And we saw this article on NPR, and we're inspired by it, right? Where the Mayo Clinic medical residents take improv classes to improve patient relationships. And we thought that was really interesting. Maybe this community-based pharmacy wants to do something similar, right? So maybe they want their employees to take improv classes for the very same reasons. And again, and the slides will be, or the recordings will be available for you so you can follow up on this. What time will when will the windows be released? Sorry, I'm also reading the questions in the chat. When should PSD teams be awake? So we haven't scheduled anyone for like a 5 a.m. Okay, we're not going to do that. We start the Eastern teams sort of at 9 or 10, right? And then we schedule the next time zone and then the next time zone. So we've almost always done that. No one has to wake up at odd times or the middle of the night. We don't like doing that. We don't like doing that to you. So that is not going to happen. So do not worry about that. Okay, so, yep, my pleasure. So what does this mean? Okay, so for this particular component, you are going to have to pose as an improv company that is trying to secure an improv contact for the pharmacy. So you will be given, okay, this time we set the parameters. We will tell you who you're supposed to be, what company you work for, and give you a specific expertise area. So if you remember Jake's slide, one of the things he talked about was yes, and maybe that's your expertise area. We don't know yet, okay? So you will be given one, and we'll tell you how we're going to communicate with you in a little bit, okay? But you will have 15 minutes on Zoom. During this time, you have to give us a demo because part of this is you're trying to sell us this demo so that we hire you to train our employees, okay? So you have to give us a demo that demonstrates that you know this area really well. So hint for your homework, go look up improv, right? Go watch some videos. I think Jake gave a very nice tip on this. Go just start watching videos in this space. It's great to be a social engineer anyway, right? So not only do you have to give this demo in 15 minutes, you also need to have an interactive component, right? So you're trying to get the employees of the pharmacy to engage with you virtually, okay? So what would this activity be that would make sense? Now, within that, during this 15 minutes, we're going to give you an additional objective. So you do have these 2 objectives where you have to give the demo, have an interactive portion, you have to get someone to engage with you, and then you have to complete these objectives. Give me 1 sec. Sorry about that. Okay. So when we, part of the objectives will help you get the information that you need for the second day. So this is just an overview. You're going to get a little bit more instructions during the actual competition, but this is what you can expect on day 1. So as I said, let's go back a slide real quick. Remember, most of the event is asynchronous. Okay, so on day 1, each team is going to get 15 minutes, and that's it. That's the only real-time engagement for each team for that full day. The rest of it, you're on your own, okay? So you will have 15 minutes to do this. Okay, no questions in chat. All right, day 2 is Vish. Now, for this, you're going to follow up from the improv, okay? So part of this is you have to figure out, we're going to give you specific objectives. We can't tell you what they are now, but like I said, everything has to be synthetic. Now, this is sort of the tricky part. You cannot use voice cloning software in real time. And there's a reason for that. We could not get approval from a risk management office. They do not want students to use these tools because essentially you are giving away student information or your data, which is your voice. Okay, so we were told, nope, that's off limits. So, which is why you have to use text-to-speech software, okay? So what you have to do ahead of time then, and this is the critical thinking portion, is you have to anticipate how this conversation might unfold, okay? And based on that, you have to create a flow chart. So your introduction, what would this voice say at the beginning? And then depending on what we say, where would you go in the flow chart? Okay, so your job is to anticipate how this conversation might go and come up with a flow chart. And for each component of the flow chart, you would need to have the corresponding sound file. Okay, and again, we'll give more instructions as we go. So again, on day 2, most of the part is asynchronous, but for 15 minutes, okay, you will have to call using only the synthetic audio. Okay, you cannot at any point use your own voice. You will get a phone number to call. You will have to go through the pharmacy's navigation system. If any of you have ever called a pharmacy, if not, maybe try just to see what it sounds like, or hear what it sounds like, I should say. Okay, so you might have a couple of options. So you have to go through the system. You have to manage to get a human on the phone. And at that point, you have to start your synthetic audio. Okay, so there are 3 to 4 objectives that you will have to get. Again, you're not going to learn what they are today. You will learn a little bit closer to the actual competition. So you have time to generate your flowcharts and the corresponding sound files.
So what can you expect on day 3? This is where we have client debriefs in the morning. This is the formal portion of the competition, right? So you're essentially presenting to the client. This will be done on Zoom. You'll have a total of 10 minutes. So 7 minutes to do your presentation and 3 minutes for any Q&A that your client expects to happen during this period. So what are we looking for? What's the client, right, looking for? They're going to want you to share any relevant evidence for the top 3 issues that you think need to be addressed immediately. And that could be across the entire campaign. And so for each of these 3 issues, you're going to have to give us the OWASP mappings and justifications, right? Demonstrate how it aligns to the social engineering components. And also for those same 3 issues, you're going to have to make recommendations. What should your client do to address these issues that you've raised? And remember, these have to be actionable. So, not generic. It has to be specific to the evidence that you have presented. Given that we're using AI, your client is also going to ask for specifics in terms of AI issues and recommendations. So again, this is not generic. This is specific to your engagement. So for instance, if you used AI during the Vish, what would your specific issues about that be? And then correspondingly, what would the recommendations be for that specifically? Okay, also note that we're interested in the human centric recommendations, right? Be it for the top 3 that you've identified above, or also for, the AI specific issues, right? So for instance, if you say, oh, you should use AI detection tools, That's not going to work, right? We're looking for what is it specifically that you would recommend that a human can do to combat the AI specific issue that you have raised. All right. So remember to think that this is a social engineering competition and we are looking for human specific or behavioral specific recommendations. We also want you to be able to demonstrate tactical empathy, right? So if you have specific findings, let's say, where a certain employee maybe fell for your campaign, how are you going to be professional about it, report it, but also demonstrate tactical empathy? And then finally, remember, this is a formal client presentation, so all of you must be dressed up professionally. We expect all members on the team to present at this time. So this is the one time during the entire event that we expect all team members to be available, right? So we want to see you. You will have to share your video feeds. And remember that you should also have formal PowerPoint slides ready for the items that I just talked about, okay? So this is roughly what you can expect during the formal debrief. We also have an informal portion of the debriefs that also happen on this last day, the third day of the competition. So this will vary depending on the track, but it's usually about 7 to 10 minutes per team. And this is where we get to give you informal feedback. And it's also a chance for you to ask us questions. What we cannot do, though, is give you your final score or your ranking or any of that kind of information. So again, this is a rough schedule, but this is what you can expect.
How do we communicate with you? We're going to have folders for each one of you. We typically use OneDrive, so we will be doing that. You will have access to the drive with edit access, so you should be able to add things to it, remove things from it. Please check this for regular updates. Okay, that's the onus is on you. We're going to place things in this folder. You have to read it. All right, so follow the instructions closely. In the deliverables, you will have to submit them in two ways. Sometimes in the team folders, this is where we'll ask you to place your client presentations, your Vish flowchart, your sound files, right? Things like that. But we have online form submissions for your OSINT findings, for your pretext and your personas and things like that. So make sure that you're putting the right information in the right spot and make sure you do that before the deadline stated in the instructions, okay? So again, the onus is on you to do that. We also have post-event surveys. So after each track is done, we're going to release the surveys. Please, again, complete them sooner rather than later while everything is still fresh in your mind. That helps us learn from the event. You know, how did it work? What did you like? What did you not like? All that kind of stuff. If you remember those secret words that you used in your pre-event surveys, use those to complete your post-event surveys so that we don't know who answered the question. Now, remember also, right? Like I said, majority is asynchronous, and I have to repeat this multiple times. Your real-time portions, like the improv and the Vish, we're very, very strict with those time windows. Okay, so if you don't show up at your time, which is in Eastern time, we're not going to be able to help you. Okay. We're gonna, I mean, you can imagine, right? For you, it might be 15 minutes, but for us, we have 15 teams of with like 15 minutes, or 8 teams or 9 teams. So we're just going back to back to back to back, right? And we're grading as we go while things are fresh in our minds. So again, please work with us so that we can give you a very positive experience. If you have any questions, don't wait till the last minute. We're not going to respond. Okay, so again, remember, sometimes it might take us some time to respond. We usually have designated office hours, which means we'll give you a 2-hour window during which you can email us at the Care Labs address and we will respond. Okay. But again, don't wait. Like, if it's like 2 a.m. and you send us an email, we're not going to respond at that time because we're resting up, right? So just be mindful of those types of things. All right. Tips for success. Prepare. Go do your homework. Okay. So read up on psychological persuasion principles. Go read up on improv. Go find videos on improv. If you Google like improv and social engineering, you'll find a whole bunch that's out there. Carefully read our FAQs. If you haven't done so, view the prior competition videos. They might be helpful. There might be content in there that might be helpful. Practice before the competition. Try doing improv, right, with each other. If your advisor is willing to join in, practice on them, right? Practice on Zoom. That's the platform for this competition. So think about, does your improv make sense on this platform? Does the interaction component, the activity where you have to get an employee of the pharmacy to engage with you, does that make sense? Let's see, I have a question. Can we generate TTS audio during the VISH? Excellent, excellent question. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So I'm so glad you brought that up. Sorry, I'm laughing and coughing at the same time because this is just bringing back memories. All right. Now, tips for success. Competition focus is social engineering. We don't care if your background is technical or you're going to use scripting or whatever. That's wonderful. Good for you. We're interested in social engineering and human behavior. So we want to see those psychological persuasion principles. We want to see your ability to adapt, be spontaneous, okay? Use AI as a tool to support social engineering tasks. The emphasis is not on the tool, the emphasis on how the tool helped you do social engineering, okay? What we're interested in is your ability to demonstrate critical thinking, analysis, reasoning, and justification, okay? So do all members of the team have to be present during the live task? That is up to you, okay? So, okay, maybe I should answer, well, I don't know what's coming up. Okay, I'm going to keep both of these questions on hold, and we'll get to that in a little bit. So hang tight. So excellent questions. We'll come to those. This was a big thing last year and also the previous year. Cross-check your findings for accuracy. And this is especially the case with OSINT. We have placed, and you can thank Jake for this because he enjoys doing this. We have placed a lot of red herrings. Okay. There are on purpose incorrect information on there or outdated information that's going to be on websites that we provide you with. Okay, so you have to think very carefully. Just because it's online doesn't make it correct, right? So you're going to have to look for who is making the post, for instance, or when was the post made. All right. When you're live, especially in improv and the VISH, be prepared to adapt. It can be spontaneous. Please, this is that ethical piece. Treat the target company and employees with respect and dignity. Remember this, okay? Let's say during the improv, you're trying to get us to participate. We're not going to comply, right? Where's the fun in that? So we are going to push back because we are trying to see how do you adapt on the fly. Okay, and so do not do not get aggressive or angry. You want to maintain your composure. Remember, your character, you are trying to buy our business. You're trying to get our business, right? So you are trying to convince us to hire you. So maybe getting angry at us is not a good idea. And yes, the three tracks are separate. So it's all the undergrad teams competing against each other. Same with the high school teams. And yeah, so yeah, you don't compete against each other. All right. So again, stay within the scope of the competition rules. Don't stray from what we're asking you to do. That will not bode well for you. Okay. So ethics, code of conduct form. You've all signed those. So please, please, please do not cheat. Okay. I mean, anyone can cheat. Where's the fun in that, right? So try to compete honestly. All right. Please do not release information about this event. We've asked teams to do this, and then a couple of years ago, one team from one university decided to post everything that they did in this competition, and that was not nice. So please don't do that. I know you're excited about it. Have a chat with us, okay? Maybe we can figure out, how can we do this? Because we've worked very hard to be able to bring this to you. Okay, so we are recording the session for you. We're going to share the link. So please don't go record it. Please don't go post it somewhere, right? All of those things, just please be nice. Okay. Rules around pretext and personas. You're not allowed to impersonate real people, either living or deceased. You cannot impersonate real companies, current or defunct. Do all of the TTS components need to be pre-recorded in the flowchart? We will get into that. So your pretext and personas cannot be, okay, this is not allowed. You cannot be academic or IT help desks. So no public post competition write-up allowed. It is allowed as long as you don't disclose every component of this competition. So again, you can share that with us. It's like we just don't want to make sure that people don't like share all the intricacies of everything. That's all we ask, right? So again, we'll work with you on these things. So again, okay, who you can and cannot be. IT help desk, way too easy. Okay, student, parent, relative, nah, too easy. Okay, same area as a target company. So can you be another community-based pharmacy? No. Okay. Can you be in any other area of healthcare? Possibly. Okay, you cannot pose as a current, past, or new employee at the target company. That's also too easy. Okay, so that's what, who you cannot be. Okay. You can also not, please do not create accounts on actual platforms. Okay, so don't go about, you've created a nice persona, don't go about creating it on LinkedIn. Okay, please don't do that. We have a simulated equivalent for you. So last year we used Recruit and Network. We're going to be using the same one. So again, please play only and cannot be the same area as are we allowed to lie about having? Yes. So you can come up with a fake name, okay? Fake company, fake, fake identity, that's completely fine. This is the world of make-believe and simulations, okay? Now, if you go into like other competitions like DEF CON, they have a little bit more freedom to be able to, impersonate real companies or real people. We unfortunately do not because we work in an academic setting, okay? So those are the rules of the game. So, all right. I mean, are we allowed to say we service a real company? No. Okay. So no. And that's okay. It's not gonna be like if you say, give us a name, like, oh, we've worked with company XYZ. We're not gonna come back and say, well, we can't find them. So, we're gonna play along on that part, right? So you don't have to worry about stuff like that. All right. So privacy is key. So again, don't enter, upload, or use any sensitive information, content about yourself, about us, right? Just please don't upload it into AI. Okay, we're not responsible for this. This is my disclaimer, which I have to say. The university, Temple University, the lab, Wanhee, Jake, me, our advisory board, all this, we're not liable for any of those types of actions. So please just don't do that. Okay. And remember, you are representing your institution, so ensure that you play by its rules as well. Okay, so play nice. So what are the approved tools that you can use here? Okay, remember, they have to be freely available. Because I do recognize that not everybody has the capacity to get licenses or pay for services and things like that. So freely available tools, okay, they have to be non-localized. So we're going to ask for shareable URLs where possible, right? So you can show us, so if you have a workspace, for instance, in ChatGPT where you've done stuff, please share that URL with us. Okay, so we would like to go see what you're doing. please do not use any tools that require paid subscriptions or enterprise licenses or offer temporary free trials. Just don't do that. All right. We want to respect the fact that, not everybody has the ability to cover these things or get these things. Different schools have different budgets, different people have different budgets. So let's just play fair. Okay. So you are going to be using 3 pieces of programming. Okay, when we are creating, sorry, I just got a question. When we are creating personas, and let's say we create a fake account in the simulated environment, does the date of the account creation matter? The answer is no. Okay, is it in our interest to create it as early? No, no, no. So it's not like we're going to be like, oh, your profile just showed up. Sketchy. No, we're gonna play along, right? I mean, that's part of the simulation of the environment. So do not worry about things like that. Okay, we got you on that front. So fake companies, if you've just created the account, that's completely fine. And there's going to be, I think, on our version of LinkedIn, we might actually have some of the personas that were created from last year's competition. It's kind of nice to have them in there. So yeah. Hopefully that answers that question. So, responsible use of AI again, right? You are using text generation tools to help you creating again your personas, pretext, vis scripts, maybe improv, right? Coming up with games that you might want to have for the interaction component. That's up to you. Okay. You might have to create images, right, for your personas. You might have to supply that, ahead of time. You might, I don't know, right? Like if you, again, are on the side of caution, right, and ask us ahead of time to see if this is okay, right? Now, text to speech for voice generation, okay, create or modify artificial voices, okay, for vision calls. So you cannot use voice cloning software. We did not get permission to do that, so please don't do that. Only use synthetic voices, okay? Some other tips for success from previous competitions. Okay, learn to communicate with each other. Don't email us and ask us where your team members are. We won't know. Okay, so make sure you communicate with each other efficiently. And I say that because this has actually happened in the past. Okay, so you should know where your team members are. So have each other's contact information, figure out, what is that way you're going to communicate, have backup communication methods in place. In the past, unfortunately, sometimes there have been weird storms, people have lost power, right? Things like that. I'm not talking about stuff like that. Okay. The other thing I will say is document your experiences as you go. Okay, because again, you have the client presentations. So when you finish your improv or when you finish your vish, there's going to be another component that you have to do, which are reflections. We're going to ask you about those components. We're going to ask you about how you felt using the AI tool. Okay, so document this as you go. And create that shared document where everyone can write down their thoughts as soon as it happens. All right. We are using Zoom. So please, please, please update Zoom before meetings. Okay, this is going to be important for the improv. So make sure you update your Zoom before meetings. I cannot tell you, this has happened to a couple of teams, given them a specific time, and then they tried connecting, and that's when Zoom decided to update. Right? So again, check your schedules, all times Eastern again. When you enter the Zoom room, enter in character, okay? So don't come in and be like, oh, is it ready? Can I start now? No, you're in character. So start right away. You have limited time, use it wisely. Sometimes we put a timer on the screen. It depends on what's happening. And if you're still going and your time's up, we're just going to get you out of the room because we need to move on. So please plan for the time that you're supposed to have. Now, and be prepared. Things can change. This is an active environment. Okay, so we might throw some we will throw some wrenches your way. So what are you going to do? Okay, so this could happen during improv. This could happen during the Vish. Now, do teams have individual personas for each member or a shared persona across all members. Last year, we capped, I think, the number of personas that teams could have at 3. So you had to choose which persona you wanted to use for which objectives. Okay. And you know, that was last year. This year, depending on how we're doing, we might just give you a cap of 2 personas. Well, you'll figure that out when we give you the instructions. But no, if it's a 4-person team and you have 2 personas, you know, and you decide during the improv you want to use one of them, which one of the 4 poses a person is up to you. The rest of you can have different personas. If you want to all be doing the improv as a team, all 4 of you, you can. If only 2% want to do it, you can, right? That's up to you. Okay. So remember that everyone here has signed media consent waivers. So we are, again, these recordings obviously will be available for you, but we are going to be recording the improvs. We are going to be recording the Vish calls, right? So just remember that. And sometimes we play some of our favorite ones during the closing ceremony. Sometimes we play the best ones. Sometimes we play our favorite ones, even if they didn't score the highest. But I promise you, we never do anything that's going to make any team feel embarrassed. Okay. So we like to, you know, sometimes the conversations are just really, really nice and memorable, and they made us laugh. And so we wanted to share, right? So, but we also do then disseminate through conferences or publications or, you know, things like that. So we will be using your materials. So just FYI, you've signed off on this. Okay. Closing ceremony is scheduled, you know, Wednesday, April 30th. Time is going to be determined. That's when we are going to, you know, again, play some of our favorite parts. We like to share, you know, because teams don't necessarily know what other teams did. This is the kind of time where we get to share a little bit of that. We also do announce winners from each track at that point. We do have prizes for each track, right? So for each track, there's a first place and a second place. And our favorite first place team, one team this time across all the tracks, will get a guaranteed spot at the DEF CON Social Engineering Communities Vish competition. And last year was the first time that we actually were able to send a team to DEF CON. And so we gave them the prize money and the seat. And it was a high school team. So, that, you know, for all you graduate and undergraduate teams, watch out. These high school teams are pretty good. Okay, so you know, so we picked one of the high school teams because they were just crazy good, and they went out to DEF CON, and they placed 3rd during the Vish competition and 4th overall. So they went against seasoned cybersecurity professionals. They were that good. All right, so you have been warned, competition is fierce. Okay, but you know, so there's only one seat for that. So all tracks at that point are competing for that seat, but for the prize monies itself, it's each track. So you're competing for the prize monies within your own track. All right. So in closing, right, a couple of things here, right? Putting this type of event takes a long time, right? So the competition ends in April, and starting May, we're planning for our next competition. Okay. So because of the nature of the game, because there's deception and social engineering, because we're using AI, because this is education, because it's student population, you can imagine that it's a lot of work because we have to get permission and guidance from the following entities that you see on the screen, right? So the Center for Advancement in Teaching, the Ethics Board, Risk Management Office, the Legal Counsel, IT Services. So we have to get permissions. We have to show them what we're thinking of doing. And we have to get the okay. We also speak with subject matter experts depending on the theme every year. So this year, because it was healthcare, we actually went and spoke with people in the field. We spoke with pharmacists. We spoke with doctors. We spoke with social engineers. We spoke with AI experts. And as you know, we have an advisory board. So it's like I said, it's a lot to do in terms of planning. So, you know, just please, please, please play nice. don't do anything unethical, both during the event and afterwards. Okay, so remember that we are social engineering for good. So please take the knowledge that you've learned and go do good things with it. Okay, don't go and actually go play in the wild and try this out on an actual company and go do, cause some harm. We don't want you to do that. Okay, we've created the space for you to try this out in a safe and ethical manner. So with that, we are going to get into the Q&A. So I'm going to stop recording and then re-record. So the Q&A is its own portion. So just hang tight. Stop recording.